and gentlemen, it is that time on a Sunday. Yes, again, it is rebuild time, and this is the first rebuild that I've done on the game since the winter update, and we are going to tackle the task of rebuilding West Ham. Now, obviously, things aren't necessarily going great for the Hammers in real life right now, so I thought, who better to jump in and take over at the start of the winter update. I'm also going to use this just as a little bit of a caveat for you to showcase some of the best Wonderkid talent in the game since the winter update. So I kind of wanted to use a Premier League team because obviously that big pot of cash. So let's dive in. This is, of course, West Ham United. This is how the competitions tab is looking for them this season. Obviously, they do have the Premier League, Europa Conference League, FA Cup, and of course that Carabao Cup. The board expectation is to actually qualify for the UEFA Europa League via the league, and if we go into the season preview and take a look at things, we are predicted to finish in 11th. Now, what I will say with this, guys, I've disabled the transfer window for the first window. I don't want anything to happen in that. I rarely sign players in that first season as well. I just want to use the squad that David Moyes has at his disposal. The odds are 200 to 1 for me to win the league. I think that's a little bit beyond me, but obviously we will be trying our best in all of these competitions. We need a tactic to play though, and we will be running the 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 𝙈𝙗 V2. It is the winter update version, guys. It is the one that we released earlier this week, so please do go and check that out on the channel. There will be a link to that video where we showed the testing and how it got on in the description as well, so please do go and check that out and go and show 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 some love as well, because this 𝙈𝙗𝙤𝙪 formation is probably the best out there in my opinion. I've tried it on stream. I'm trying it on stream. It is brilliant. I am a huge fan of it. So if we quick pick without restriction at the moment our best 11, so you can kind of see who is where. This is what the team is saying, or what my assistant manager is saying. Fabianski in goal, Kufal at right back, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, less said about him the better, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, I don't even know how you say that other centre-back's name, so he won't be in the team too long. You can tell I don't watch a lot of West Ham. We've got Cresswell left-back, Souček, Rice, Paqueta, Vlasic, who is out on loan. I don't actually know where he is actually out on loan if I just look. He's out at Torino. So my best central attacking midfielder is not here. Obviously, we've got Jarrod Bowen and Gianluca Scamacca up top. We will be playing this 4-2-3-1 for the course of the season. Obviously, we do have Danny Ings. Obviously, as I mentioned, the winter update is in here in place. So we do have the likes of Danny Ings. We've got a couple of options as well. So I'm quite happy with the team at the start of the season. They definitely should be performing just that little bit better. Let's holiday and simulate throughout the course of the season and see how we get on in season number 1. So guys, season number 1 is in the books, and if you do like the rebuild content, show me that by hitting that like button down below the video. You know it really does help out me, helps out the channel, and helps with that good old YouTube algorithm. And if you hit that like button, I'm sure we'll win the Premier League in this video. So Hammers fans, it's all down to you. If you don't hit that like button, we probably won't win the Premier League. In season number 1 though, we didn't win the Premier League. We finished in 5th in the Prem. We finished level on points actually with Manchester United, who did finish in 4th. Their goal difference was significantly better than ours, so that's an area that we will need to improve. We'll talk about the Premier League a little bit more in detail in a second. In terms of the Europa Conference League though, we did go all the way to win that one. We followed in the footsteps of Roma the season before. We win that game 2-0 Benrahma, and 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, yeah, as I said, the less mentioned about him the better. He will be going in the summer, I can guarantee it. We did win the Europa League. Europa Conference League, sorry, won that one 2-0, so we would have qualified for the Europa League regardless, but we qualified for the Europa League via the league campaign as well by finishing in 5th. Emirates FA Cup knocked out in the 3rd round by Birmingham. That is really disappointing, but we did get to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup where we did lose out to Manchester United. Liverpool going all the way to win this season, but our form towards the end of the season very patchy at best. We expand the league, you can kind of see here, scored 70 goals, but we conceded 52 goals, so we're going to need to go and tighten up at the back. That plus 18 goal difference, yes, okay, it is a positive. It's not as good as it should be, or could be. One thing I will say, massive shout out to Chelsea finishing in 12th, and Tottenham finishing in 16th. What What is going on here? Craziness. Anyway, let's talk about the money going into season number 2. We got £56 million to spend, which is actually really, really nice. Got about 200k in the wage budget as well. So this is actually really good. I am going to go out and, as I mentioned in the intro, find some of the best Wonderkids that I can sign and bring into this team. Some of them are going to be first team ready right off the bat. Some of them are going to be squad players to start with, but then definitely grow into it. You're not going to want to miss who I sign. Let's get into season number 2. Right, so first of all, let's talk transfers for season number 2. I do have to touch on a outgoing. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, he has gone. He has gone to Montpellier. He went in the summer, went in the early part of the summer as well, went in June still. He's gone to Montpellier for £1.6 million. Now, I do love 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, but he is 33 years of age. He is going to start coming towards the end of his career. I felt like it was time to change him out. Get a little bit of money for him, but I do like 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. We've got lots of other players on the outgoings as well here, so let's talk about them first and foremost. 𝘼𝙗𝙤, again, on the outgoings, a very good player. Very good in draft mode because he's dirt cheap, but 30 years of age. He has now gone over to Juventus. He got sold for £11.5 million. So I think we've done pretty well on him. The big outgoing is, of course, 𝘼𝙗𝙤. Now, because of his off-the-field antics, I didn't want him massively being a part of this rebuild, so I have sold him. He has gone over to Inter Milan for £36.5 million. So he has gone. Maxwell Cornet also gone to Mainz. Not a player that I would use in this team. I don't think he's good enough to be that player on that left attacking midfield spot. He's gone to Mainz, as I said, for £13.75 million. Yes, I see he did play a lot for us last year. We have replaced him, don't worry. And the other one that left for some money is Alfonso Areola. He has gone over to Cologne, again in the Bundesliga. Not really a goalkeeper that I felt like we needed. Let's talk about the incomings though. I am a Bristol City fan, for those of you who didn't know, so I had to go and sign this guy. He's had a potential boost in the winter update. His now potential ranges between 150 and 180. I've gone out and signed Alex Scott, obviously from Bristol City. We paid £14.75 million for him. He played 42 times in the Championship for Bristol City last year. He's our new central attacking midfielder, guys. He does come in to be that creative force in the right back spot. On my Wonderkids video, you guys actually recommended this guy to me. I didn't necessarily know who this person was. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 is a player that I'd never heard of. He comes from Real Valladolid over in Spain. He looks really good as well. I believe we paid his minimum fee release clause of £26 million to make him our player for the rest of this save, hopefully. Coming in to be our new right back, obviously replacing 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. Really nice physically, superb mentally already for someone aged 18. Now, another player who was highly mentioned in the comments section of my video. He is my 𝘼𝙗𝙤 replacement. We have 𝘼𝙗𝙤 𝙈𝙗𝙪. He is the absolute monster that comes out of Sporting over in Portugal. He's 19 years of age now, 6'3", physical beast, really, really good tier defender, 5-star potential. Looks like an absolute monster. If you've not signed this guy in your saves, please do go and do so, because he is a beast. He is an absolute beast. We've also signed Marcus Thuram. He was on a free transfer, having left Borussia Mönchengladbach. So I thought a good player to play in 2 key positions for us. Coming in on a free transfer, I think he could go on to be a superb player for us. And then we spent 10 million on 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 Shakir. He is the goalkeeper from Turkey. He comes in from Trabzonspor. Really good at one-on-ones, 18 reflexes. I feel that we've upgraded here in terms of Fabianski and stuff like that. I feel like we're in a much better spot. If we go and take a look at the tactic, I will be freezing Alex Scott in this position, because I think if we quick pick our best 11, he won't quite get in. And I'm really intrigued to see how he develops actually with someone actually managing him rather than just letting the simulation run. If we quick pick without restriction our best 11, this is how we're looking. Shakir in goal, Fresneda, Diomande, the guy who I can't say. Emerson is now our left back, which is kind of a problem, although he is coming in at a 3.5-star. Left back, Souček alongside Declan Rice, of course, Paqueta, Fornal, Bowen, and obviously Thuram up top. We will be, as I mentioned, freezing Alex Scott into this playmaker role in the top of the cam spot to see how he gets on. In terms of the competitions though, guys, we always have the same competitions now. We have the Premier League, the Europa League. We've qualified from the Europa Conference League. We've moved up a tier. We're now into the Europa League territory, Emirates FA Cup, and of course that Carabao Cup. With our improvements. I'm definitely going to say improvements. The season preview has us to finish in 8th. We are 50-1 to win the division, and we will be trying to do just that in season number 2. Let's simulate and see what happens, guys. So guys, at the end of season number 2, we have finished yet again in 5th. Annoyingly, we didn't improve on last season. We got a few less points than last year, but I feel the average overall age of our squad has definitely dropped by about 5 years at the very least. Liverpool go on to win back-to-back titles. Arsenal, Man City and Manchester United again round off the top 4. We finished then in 5th, qualifying for the Europa League for the following season, but ultimately we were pretty disappointed in some of the cup competitions. Knocked out in the quarter-finals of the Europa League by Marseille, knocked out in the 3rd round of the FA Cup by Southampton, and knocked out in the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup, but that one was by Manchester City. You can see though, our goal difference has improved in the Premier League. If we, nope, not the season preview, Steve, there we go. If we open it up, right, we got 20 victories, 8 draws, 10 losses, 79 goals scored, but again, 51 goals conceded. This team just leaks goals at the moment, and I need to fix that. We've definitely got a couple of issues that I'm looking at, and hopefully we can strengthen for season number 3. I don't think the gap between ourselves and Manchester United is actually that vast, just 1 point at the moment. We actually got a better goal difference than them this time around. I feel like we need to make a big stride for season number 3. And speaking of season number 3, we've got just shy of 70 million to spend, and I can guarantee you that I will be spending that bringing in some more of these Wonderkids. Let's go get it. Right guys, the clear out of West Ham does continue. We've had lots of transfer activity in and out. Let's first of all talk about some of the outs and the ones that have gone for some money. 𝘼𝙗𝙗 has gone to Fulham for £20.5 million. Fornals has gone to Leicester City for 10 million. That could improve to 12 million. Danny Ings has gone to Southampton, 19.75 million for him as well. In terms of some of the other outgoings, we continue on the other side. 𝘼𝙗𝙗 𝘼𝙗𝙗 has gone to Juve. He's not a player for me. I'm sorry, West Ham fans. And 𝘼𝙗𝙗 has gone to Sampdoria. However, we have been very busy in recruiting for this season. Let's go back a page, because some of the transfers happened in the January window, because this happened in the January transfer window. Declan Rice is now a PSG player. I actually don't think West Ham fans would be too disappointed with him going out of the division, going to somewhere else, not necessarily a direct competitor, no Chelsea, no Manchester United, no Arsenal, that sort of thing. I think Hammers fans would probably be a little bit better with this. And also I feel like we got a good deal for him, 116 million in the January transfer window for Declan Rice going out the door. But as I mentioned, we did strengthen with some of those players in that January. Rooney comes in from Copenhagen. Obviously, if you played FM over the last 2 years, I'm sure you know who this Donny is. He's 18 years of age. He's a winger, plays on the right-hand side. Very good player for us. We go back into the transfer history there. You can see Rafael Luis is a player that I touched on in my Wonderkid video. He comes in from Benfica. He's basically a squad player at the moment. He's 19 years of age. He's 6'2". He's supremely well-rounded. We paid £10 million for him. Some of that's instalments just to get him through the door from Benfica. That happened in January, as did this signing. A player that I'd not actually heard of before, Martin 𝘼𝙗𝙗. Is how I'm going to butcher this Donny's name. He is a Croatian international, aged 21 years of age. He comes in from Dinamo Zagreb, of course. Where else? The hub of Croatian youth talent. He came in for £12 million. Did an okay job last season, but not spectacular. But I'm hoping he can grow into a very good player for us. And the final one that we did add in the January. Yeah. He was transfer listed, guys. I couldn't not. Josko Gvardiol is now a Hammer. This is massive. This is a massive transfer. We spent a lot of money. It's a lot of the Declan Rice money, of course. 125 million. Again, that is spread across numerous years, numerous installments, bonuses and stuff like that. So 125 million. But Josko Gvardiol is now a West Ham player. That is the rest of the transfers that happened in season number 2 that I didn't cover previously. And then the season 3 transfers is just 2 players. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, again, another one of these Wonderkids that received a massive bump in that winter update. I just wanted to try him out and see what he was like, and obviously being part of a Premier League club is really, really helpful. He comes in from Sporting for 15 million. Then in that left back spot, we've gone out and signed ourselves a left back, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 𝙈𝙗. He comes in, obviously he's the former 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 player who is at Tottenham. Tottenham didn't want him, we bought him. It felt like for a steal as well. If we go onto his career stats, £26 million we paid for him. Super high promise on this player, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how we do get on. If I quick pick without restriction, guys, this is how the team is looking for season number 3, and I think I've fixed those defensive issues. Look at that back line. So in goal, we've got 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. On the right hand side for 𝘼𝙗𝙪, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 𝙈𝙗𝙪. 𝘼𝙗 alongside 𝘼𝙗𝙤. Yes, okay, we don't have Declan Rice in there anymore, but I think that's actually a decent midfield too. Buturina, Scott, Bowen, who does want to leave the club, by the way. I am trying to sell him, but he's opted out of his contract, which I'm sure Danny Dyer would be livid with in real life, because he is having a child with Danny Dyer, the female. So I don't think that would happen in real life, but Jarrod Bowen wanted to opt out of his contract. I am trying to sell him for any value just so that we don't lose him for free, but at the moment he does just want to leave the club. And then obviously Marcus Thuram completes it up top. We've got a bit more depth as well. Ben Johnson actually being a really good player for us. Rafael Luis, obviously Rooney we touched on. We've got, oh, and I signed this guy as well, Robert Wren, and I completely forgot about him. He comes in as another centre-back option for us. 15 million from Zenit. He was in my Wonderkid video as well. So going into season number 3, if we go into the competitions, obviously we have the Champions League. We have the Champions League? Why do we have the Champions League? We qualify for the Champions League by finishing in 5th. I think that's the coefficient changing, to be perfectly honest. But we do have the Champions League. We enter in the league phase. Obviously, the league phase is an absolute nightmare, but there we go. FA Cup, Carabao Cup, the 2 domestic trophies, and of course the Premier League. The board only want a top half finish. If we go and take a look at the season preview, guys, this is where we're at. We're predicted to finish in 8th. We also have a 50-1 odds to win that title, but we do have our first player in that media dream 11. Josko Gvardiol is in there, listed as a left back. I want to play him as a centre back, so we're going to have to see what happens throughout the course of the season. Let's simulate and see what happens in season number 3. Can we crack into that top 4? You guys are going to think this is BS. Season 3 is done and dusted, and we've got a double. The league and the Champions League. We have done both, and I will be honest, I am assembling a team of Wonderkids, so I was expecting this to happen at some point, but not 3 seasons in. We win the Premier League with 82 points, beating Liverpool out. Obviously, the top 5 now qualify for the Champions League. We'll come back and talk about that in a second. We got to the semi-finals of the Emirates FA Cup, knocked out by Brighton. Got to the 4th round of the Carabao Cup, knocked out by Chelsea. But the big one West Ham fans will be interested in is this Champions League final. We got all the way there. I'll talk about the run-in a second, but we get to the Champions League final, which is actually played in Munich, and we take on Bayern Munich. We score the first goal. Alex Scott then equalises after Joshua Kimmich gets sent off. Victor Osimhen with a goal back for 10-man Bayern, but our quality and extra man probably kind of got the job done, and 𝘼𝙗𝙪 scored the 3rd. We lift the Champions League trophy at West Ham. It is a madness. If we go into the Premier League, guys, obviously Erling Haaland still popping off for Man City with his 40 goals, but Man City finishing down in 9th, absolutely having a stinker, and it's no longer Pep in charge of Manchester City. But we win the league. We had 26 victories, 4 draws, 8 losses, 88 goals scored. We still conceded a decent amount actually in 48, but we obviously got more victories than everybody else. 3 more victories than Liverpool, 2 more victories, 2 more victories than Chelsea and Newcastle as well. But an interesting top 4 or top 5 if you count that as the top 5 qualify for the Champions League. Ourselves, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle and Arsenal. Some very interesting moves in here, but ultimately won the Premier League title, guys. Won the Premier League title and the Champions League, but I want this team to continue to grow. Finances going into season number 4, we've got just 64.5 million, just 64.5 million to spend to improve this team so far moving forward. I'm not really sure where I'm going to try and spend it, but let's just go and try and find some more of these Wonderkids, shall we? So going into transfers for season number 4, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 did finally leave West Ham. I couldn't sell him for anything. He opted out of his contract and he's now a Manchester United player. I'm not happy about this, but he's now a Manchester United player. I tried to convince him to stay, tried to convince him to sign a new contract. He said no, he wanted out. Now he's playing for Manchester United. I have spent some money though, guys, and you can see I'm starting to stretch these out for in installments because 𝘼𝙗𝙪, I don't know if this is how you say this guy's name, one of the prospects from Rennes, he looks outstanding. Look at this guy's attributes physically. Absolute monster. He's got the player trait of using the outside of the foot, so you're going to see lots of 𝘼𝙗𝙪 passes. Mentally, again, for someone who's aged 20, he is superb. Technically, again, superb. 17 for dribbling, first touch, passing, and technique. He's 20 years of age. He's got 6 caps for France, 1 goal as well. He's now valued at anywhere between 97 and 131 million. We paid 77 million pounds for him, guys, and I am ready to see this guy dominate our midfield. I think this guy is really going to take us to that next level. We also went out and signed the guy that nobody can say. 𝘼𝙗𝙪 is here to be our left winger. I've never used this guy in FM this year. So I thought, you know, fresh off the back of the Champions League, let's go spend some money. Let's get in the Georgian Messi and see how he can get on. 19 dribbling, 17 first touch, 18 technique, fantastic mentals as well. On that left-hand side, I think he's very much a good replacement for 𝘼𝙗𝙪 in our attack. If we quick pick without restriction our best 11, guys, this is how we're looking going into season number 4. Obviously, we're going to have a Premier League title defense. We're also going to have a Champions League title defense as well. This is how the team is looking. 𝘼𝙗𝙪 in goal. Fresnada, Diomande, Gvardiol, Udogie. That back 5, including the goalkeeper, stays the exact same for the next season. 𝘼𝙗𝙪 comes into play alongside Paqueta. Out on the right-hand side, he's got Rooney. Then we do have Alex Scott, 𝘼𝙗𝙪, and then up top, we have Marcus Thuram still, who actually, I need to touch on Marcus Thuram. For a free transfer, guys, he's been superb. In his first season with us, he got 18 goals and 6 assists. Fantastic. Free transfer, don't forget. Second season, 22 goals and 12 assists. Again, free transfer, this guy. Unbelievable signing. He's going to lead the line for us. But this team now is absolutely stacked. We've got Baturina there, Shameti, Ben Johnson, Souček, Benrahma, Emerson. We've still got Flynn Downs is still knocking about here. We've got all these players. Can we go back to back in the Premier League? Obviously, because we won the Champions League and stuff like that. We won the Premier League. We've got a couple more competitions this year. We've got the Super Cup. We've got the Community Shield, along with the others that we did have. Obviously, Nice won the Europa League. We win the Champions League. I'm hoping we win that Super Cup as well. The board now wants us to qualify for the Champions League via the Premier League, as that does mean finishing inside that top 5. We will be trying to retain our Premier League title. The Media Dream 11 says we are predicted to finish in 6th. And some very interesting managerial appointments. Diego Simeone, manager at Arsenal. Carlo Ancelotti, now the manager at Manchester City. We've got Josko Gvardiol and 𝘼𝙗𝙪 in that Media Dream 11. We are proving that we are a very good team so far. We are the title holders. Let's see if we can go back to back. So season 4 is done and dusted, and yes, we have added some silverware to our trophy cabinet, but no, they are not the trophies that I think you would kind of be expecting after last season. We win the Super Cup, we win the Community Shield, and that is all. We finish in 5th. We've dropped all the way back down to 5th. In the Prem, we got knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League by Bayern. They kind of got their own back for last season, it would appear. Knocked out in the 5th round of the FA Cup by Manchester United. Knocked out in the 4th round of the Carabao Cup by Brighton. Such a drop-off from last year. This is the bit I'm really worried about. The drop-off's there. The drop-off's inevitable. We lost too many games. Lost 13 games throughout the course of the season. Scored a lot of goals as well. Scored the second most goals in the division behind Manchester United. But we do qualify for the Champions League again, so we keep that money coming in. We keep our job, which is quite nice. But we do have to struggle on. And I really thought there was going to be an improvement this season, but it doesn't look like there was. We did win that UEFA Super Cup. I'll touch on that. We beat Nice in that final 3-2, and we won that Community Shield as well, beating Nottingham Forest 3-0 as well. So comfortable wins, adding to that trophy cabinet, but again, not those high reputation trophies. Newcastle finally break their way into the Champions League reckoning as well. Who is massively missing? So obviously Arsenal finish in 7th, Man City in 6th, Tottenham in 8th. You can see the coefficients absolutely favouring the teams from England. Now, we're going to have a stab one more final season to see if we can win a bit more silverware. This is all just a bit of a light-hearted one, obviously. £82.7 million to spend to improve what I think has got to be one of the best teams in the division already. I think we need a centre forward. I know we concede a lot, but I think we need a centre forward to win some more games. Let's get through into Season 5's transfers and see who we can sign. So guys, before we get into Season 5, this is the part of the video where I ask if you are still watching this video. I ask you to comment something down below just to let me know that you managed to get it all the way to the 5th and final season of this rebuild. And because it's West Ham, all I want to see down below is I'm forever blowing bubbles. That's all I want to see. I'm forever blowing bubbles down below to let me know that you got to season number 5. Now, talking of season number 5, I said that we needed a striker. This is the man who I tried to sign. I tried to sign 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 because he's actually received a little bit of a buff in that January update, I believe. But look at his transfer value, 284 to 310 million. I'm dumb, so I offered 300 million. Dortmund still said no. I don't understand why they'd say no to 300 million, but they said no. So I went out and I signed another striker, and it'll be a name that you guys in the FM space are very much used to seeing. It's Benjamin Sesko. He had a minimum fee release clause of £82 million, and he actually looks like a bit of a beast here. 19 jumping reach, along with that 16 finishing, 15 heading. He's 6'5", of course. He's only 23 years of age, Slovenian international, just averaging under a goal every other game for his country. He'd been doing quite well over in the Bundesliga at 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 as well. Over the last season, he got 12 goals in all comps. No, sorry, 22 goals in all comps. 12 in the Bundesliga, averaging a 7.01. So I'm very impressed with him. We activated his minimum fee release clause, which was the 82 million quid. And here he is to lead the line. Just the one player, just the one addition coming into the team. And if we quick pick without restriction our best 11, this is the team going into season number 5. So Sesko comes in and rules that roost. I just have to touch on Alex Scott because I said I was very intrigued to see how he would develop with someone actually managing him. This is how Alex Scott looks now. I've been working on his left foot. He's now got a reasonable left foot. He's 22 years of age. He's got 8 caps for England now. Mentally, absolutely fantastic. Guys, please, please, please do go out and sign Alex Scott in your saves because he's an absolute gem. Absolute monster. Love him. Sign him a lot. So that is the team going into the final season. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪𝙩, Fresneda, Diamande, Carvalho, Udogie, Dio. I'm butchering his name. I'm really bad with French people. Paqueta, Rooney, Scott, Kvaratskhelia, and then obviously Benjamin Sesko up front. We are young as a team. We are very young as a team, actually. Can you do the comparisons? I can't even remember how you do the comparisons now. Is it in here? Yeah, comparison. There we go. So we are the youngest team in the Premier League, as you can see there. 24.52 years of age. The youngest team in the Premier League. Can we go and win it? That is the question. Obviously, if we go over to the competitions tab, we have these 4 competitions: Premier League, Champions League, and the 2 domestic cups for England. The board wants us to qualify for the Europa League this year. I don't understand why they're expecting this drop-off. Oh, actually, one thing I will say for West Ham fans, we received a takeover. David Sullivan no longer in charge. It is now Stephen Appleby. He is now my new chairman, just to let you know that did happen in this particular save. Just as something interesting, if we go into that season preview, the media are expecting us to finish in 7th. We are 16-1 to win the division. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do, because there's some fantastic teams in here, fantastic players. Pep is now the Arsenal manager, which is a very interesting one to see because, wow, following in those footsteps of Mikel Arteta, his former protege. Anyway, let's simulate this 5th and final season. I'm waffling and see how we get on. So season 5 is done and dusted, and in our final season we celebrate a double yet again, and it's not the same one as last time. Last time it was the Premier League and the Champions League. This time, Premier League and FA Cup. I'm actually really happy with this. We've won the Premier League. We've won it back. We've won the Premier League back. 25 victories, 5 draws, 8 losses throughout the course of the season. The top 4, West Ham, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Tottenham, then Manchester United, then you've got Man City, then you've got Chelsea. I think we've done a really good job with West Ham here. We were knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League by Chelsea. That is really disappointing. Knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. That one was knocked out by Manchester United. The FA Cup, though, we did beat Chelsea in that final. Benjamin Sesko, massive shout out to him. He went off this season. I'll show you him in a second. But Benjamin Sesko's 2 goals at Wembley saw us win the FA Cup and get one over on Chelsea as well, which is really nice to see. They do have this guy, if you are doing a save, 𝘼𝙗𝙁. I tried to sign him, but obviously the rivalry between Chelsea and West Ham permitted me for not being able to afford him at the time. He is another player who received a massive bump in this year, in the winter update. But we get one over on Chelsea, and of course in that Premier League we absolutely went flying. Benjamin Sesko, 28 goals. He won the Golden Boot as well. Let's talk about Benjamin Sesko. 55 goals in all competitions, guys. Benjamin Sesko is back into his FM22 form, I think, following that update. He got 55 goals and 4 assists in, what is that, 49 games, averaging over a goal a game. He's the guy. I'm glad I didn't sign Moukoko for 300 million. I'm glad I signed Benjamin Sesko. This is the team. We're ready to cook. We won the Premier League 2 out of the 5 seasons. And I think we're in a fantastic place, and we've got some of the best young talent in the game, and this team's only going to get better as they get better as well. So if you wanted to pick up this save, guys, you can do. It is down in my Discord. You can go and find the links to that down in that description as well. I post the saves in there every single week, so you can pick up the rebuilds from where I leave them off. And if you do like the rebuild content, check out this playlist. It's all the rebuilds that I've done in FM23 so far.